It's the Chatty Patty Talk Show.
We will talk about the things that mean so much to you, like going to a restaurant or hanging at the zoo. Clothes and sports and funny news, crafts and travel too. Nothing ever scripted, so expect the unexpected.
Hello. It's the Chatty Patty Talk Show. It's the Chatty Patty Talk Show. It's the Chatty Patty Talk Show.
Hi, welcome to our show. It's September 3rd, 2019. This is episode 95. I'm Chatty Patty.
I'm Paula Walla.
Our special guest today is John Sinclair, the American poet.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Welcome to our show, and thank you for agreeing to be on it and be put through this today. No, we're gentle. We're gentle.
How are you doing today, John?
I'm a mess.
You're a mess.
So is Patty. She was at a lot of festivals this weekend. She admitted to me.
I'm beyond the weekend.
Oh, yeah. I
Physically maimed.
Well, that's too bad.
It is too bad.
So a lot of people know you from manager from the MC5, right?
They have to be pretty old to know me from that. It was 50 years ago.
Well, we're all over 50, so...
Were they an easy band to manage?
No.
Did you go on the road with them and stuff?
Well, I worked with them for 2 years from September of 67 until June of 69. And then they fired me.
Uh-oh. Should I ask why, or maybe that's not?
It's not my place to know why.
Are you still friends with them today?
I'm friends with Wayne Kramer. The other people are all dead. Well, Dennis Thompson's alive, but I'm not friends with him.
Yeah.
He's a maniac.
Oh. Wonderful. Oh.
He said things like they should have killed me. So, I mean, I don't think very highly of him.
I wouldn't talk to him.
No, I don't.
Sounds like, scary.
But I'm very close with Wayne Kramer.
Excellent. So where did you grow up?
Davison, Michigan.
Davison, that's where the Renaissance Festival is, right? Have you ever been to the Renaissance Festival?
Good God, no. What does that have to do with Davison? I don't even know what
there.
the Renaissance was.
Well, I don't know.
They're the stupidest bunch of people you could ever order up on earth.
Running around eating turkey legs and...
They have no art. They have no culture. They're just white people, you know.
Well...
Squares.
So how long did you live in Davison?
17 years.
And then you got the heck out of there?
Yes, ma'am.
And where did you go from there?
Well, I went to college. I went to Albion College for 2 years, and then I transferred to the Flint College at the University of Michigan, and I graduated from there in 1964. My granddaughter starts school there today.
Oh,
How exciting.
that's kind of
Hard
cool.
to say.
I thought you lived in Flint.
Well, Flint, Davison.
Yeah. Okay. So what was it like back then? I mean,
My parents lived in Davison. My life took place in Flint. But
what was Flint like back then?
it was fun.
Was there a music
It
scene?
was twice as big as it is now.
Oh, really? It
That's
shrunk.
200,000. Well, Detroit's less than half.
Yeah.
Detroit was 2 million, Flint was 200,000. Now Detroit's 650,000, Flint's 100,000.
Where's everybody going?
Suburbs.
Chesterfield.
White people.
Royal Oak.
New Baltimore.
White flight. You hear the term white flight? 1 million of them fled from Detroit. So that's
So-
what happened to Detroit.
When you were growing up, was there like, were you bands playing like at the high school and stuff?
No.
Because, you always hear like
Bands were few and far between.
up that
My
way.
brother was in a band, a rockabilly band. But other than that, there weren't rare. There was a guy that he played for named Tommy Latner. He was like an Elvis, an authentic, not an Elvis impersonator, but a guy like Elvis from the South, who was an R&B fanatic, a white kid.
I wonder whatever happened to him.
I have no idea, but my brother was 12 and he played the drums, and they drafted him, and the other guys were grown people, hillbillies. But that's how I broke into show business, was driving my brother. I was 16, my brother was 12. So I drove him to the gigs in his drums.
Yeah, the drummer always has the most gear.
Drive him up to Vassar and places like that.
Oh, wow. Did you come down to Detroit to see music?
Not until I was older.
My brother,
when I was in college.
Yeah, would you drive into Detroit ever? You know, growing up in Davison, and that was kind of a.
It was a long ways away, and
Yeah.
they didn't have the freeways.
It was only
Yeah.
2 lanes.
Yeah.
well, that's why you got out of there.
Okay.
Dort Highway.
Yeah, Dort Highway.
Dixie Highway, they call it. The forerunner of I-75, because it took you to the south. Dixie.
Yeah, it will take you all the way to Florida, doesn't it?
Correct.
Right.
And then the Grandy Ballroom days. I'm sure you went to a lot of those
I was
concerts.
there.
Yeah, my brothers. I have brothers, probably your age, and they still have all the handbills from all that. And
They're very wise.
What was some of your best memories from the Grandy Ballroom?
I have so many I couldn't even start. The MC5.
I've never been there.
Seeing the MC5 every time they played for 2 years. That was a high point of life.
yeah,
We went to see them the other night, the MC50.
yeah, I went last
That's what
time
they were
around.
like every night, only it was better because Rob Tyner was a better singer and a better performer. That guy was great, the singer, but he
Yeah.
wasn't no Rob Tyner.
No, Rob Tyner was.
And the guy played the
best.
good rhythm guitar parts, but he wasn't no Fred Smith.
I
The drummer
know.
was good, and the bass player was good. They were really good. Anyway, that was what they were like every night. Only at the end, they played this freeform number called Black to Calm, and it was always different every night.
Did they play it at when you saw him last week?
I left before the end. It was wearing me out. I'm too old.
So when you hear good music, do you still get that tingle and, do
Oh,
you
yeah,
make you
sure.
feel good?
Good music is good music. That's all I do is listen to good music day in and day out.
What
I
are
got
some
my
new
own radio station.
What are some new bands that you're
I don't care
into?
about new bands.
You might be surprised. There's
Maybe I would be, but they're going to have to come and set up right here. Because
You're not going to go find them.
No, ma'am. I avoid pop music like the plague. I hate
What about
pop
country music?
music. I hate country music.
I had a
I
feeling.
could always just see Negroes swinging from ropes on trees when I heard country music.
Oh, it hurts.
what about jazz? You like
I'm a
jazz?
jazz fanatic.
What?
You're a
Jazz
jazz.
and blues.
You're a jazz writer.
Also.
Well, would you rather? I don't know. I was going to say, would you rather play jazz or write about it or listen? What's the best part about jazz?
I like everything about it.
Yeah.
I do too. I've recently kind of started getting into it the past few years, and I like
Good idea.
the Coltrane
And now you're talking.
kind of I call it that wacky jazz. You know, when they just go all over the place
Yes.
with the sax and Miles
Good
Davis.
stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Miles Davis, greatest American artist of the 20th century in my book.
So is there a difference between a jazz solo and Paula says she doesn't like jam bands?
Grateful Dead. I'm
Yeah,
not. the
she's not
Grateful
into
Dead. I
that.
don't like
Well,
it.
they're in a jam band.
Well,
They just
Patty
don't
told me
play
they
very
were.
well.
they just don't play very well. Well, they do a lot of jamming. I mean,
know,
maybe
but-
not the songs that are out on their albums, but
To me, jazz
freestyle. yeah.
jazz goes a little deeper for me. But everyone's got their
Well,
own.
it has the rhythmic intelligence that you won't find in any pop music.
My husband
And the
seems.
depth, the
It is smart.
intellectual depth.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a music of great intelligence. And they're thinking on their feet, and they're working out their music together while it's happening. It's really a brilliant thing.
Do you find that jazz artists are smarter people?
Oh, I don't know about all that.
I feel like they would be
But the
mathematicians.
music, they address their intelligence to the music.
Yeah, I think
And
everybody's
they
good at
think
something.
on their feet, and they're making it up. It isn't like a pop group that's rehearsed this 50 times and they do it the same way every time. That's anathema to jazz. It's the opposite.
I know they are constant. You're
Jazz,
constantly
you play the
thinking.
same tunes, but you play them different every time.
Yeah.
see. Good jazz. They got bad jazz, where it's very smart, but
I don't like that kind of new jazz. Some of it's, I don't know. I like the old school. I think that's
I
the
like
plane you're
bebop,
on.
man, and I like the one that came after that, which is your Coltrane-istic music.
What about like swing?
I like swing.
Swing's
very
kind of
much.
cool too.
I like traditional New Orleans music. I like it all.
I was at Jazz
Except
Fest
country.
this
See,
weekend.
those guys made it up. Before Louis Armstrong and Sidney Bechet and those guys, nobody had ever played like that before. There's a lot to be said up for that.
Did you ever hear of Sheila Jordan?
Sure.
She's
A giant
I watched her
from Detroit.
Saturday. I
Oh, you
was
saw
blown
her?
away.
She's 80-something.
90.
Oh, wow.
My friend Gaylin, our mutual friend, played with her. She was singing these songs.
90.
She's 90 years old.
God, that's
She looked
terrific.
amazing. She had on
She
the
sings her ass off.
coolest outfit. And then what I really liked about her, she's singing this song, and all of a sudden she goes, I wish the drummer would move to New York so I could play with her all the time. And she was just whipping this stuff out, and the bird flew by, and she started singing about that, and she like weaved it into the lyrics.
She's in touch.
She really was amazing, yeah.
She's a giant.
And Marion Hayden played bass with
She
her.
sang out with Charlie Parker.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So she's
She
from
was a
Detroit?
kid, yeah.
Does she still live here? Or
Oh,
she
no,
seems
she's been
New
in
York-y.
New York for years.
Yeah.
50 at least.
She was talking about when she used to fight with her brother when they were little, and she goes, but he's dead, and so I guess I won. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, some wacky story. She was interesting.
I've heard stories that she's told about going to see Charlie Parker when she was 18 and stuff. 17, underage. Well, I guess you were underage at 18 then. But Bird would get them through the back door of the club so they could come in and see him play.
You ever go to Cliff Bell's?
Sure.
That's a good. I like that club.
My friend R.J. Spangler is in charge of the music there.
Oh, right. How about? Do you like that Django Reinhardt kind of music?
Sure.
I love that. There's a guy.
Gypsy jazz.
Gypsy jazz is the bomb. There's a guy, Safane Rembel, who's playing like that, and he studied with those cats.
Well, as I was having my breakfast today, I was reading a story about James Carter's fascination. The great James Carter, the saxophonist from Detroit, he's fascinated with Django Reinhardt, and he's recorded a couple of albums. I didn't know this, but he talked at great length about how fascinated he was. One time, he said he was in Europe to play a festival the weekend of 9/11, and the plane couldn't come from New York with his band, so he played with an ensemble that had two gypsy guitar players.
Oops.
And that was a big revelation for him.
Wow.
Two actual guys that play now the same style, you know. So he adapts Django Reinhardt compositions to like free jazz concept, you know.
And
It
that's
was fascinating.
deep.
Yes,
A whole other astral plane of
deep is
thoughts.
James Carter's my favorite musician of today, so I love him.
Do you play any instruments?
No, I'm a poet and a writer.
Do you wish like you would have taken up saxophone or anything?
No, I did, but I didn't get very far.
So for a poet, I would think that you would be more into the lyrics of songs.
Oh, I'm into lyrics, yeah.
I mean, what are some Can you recite a poem maybe that you've written?
Well, I could.
Are they really long?
I had to.
If you had
Some
to.
are. Some are long, some
give
are
us a
short.
sample?
It's like life.
Give us a sample.
Oh, dear.
I could like play a
I
little.
wasn't ready for this. I don't know if I'm high enough. We can't smoke a joint in here, can we?
No. Probably all
You know
this
it's
foam would
legal
go.
now.
This foam would go on
Flammable.
fire. I know it's legal finally, right?
Well, you know, all the laws against smoking have to do with tobacco.
Yeah,
You know, when they say no smoking, they mean no smoking.
that's true. That's true. Well, now they have to say and no vaping.
Well, they put all this other stuff on, revealing that it isn't about the smoke, it's about the insurance companies.
Oh.
Oh.
That's where all that, I was going to say horse shit.
Oh, no. Well, let's talk
That's
about.
where that stuff comes from, seat belts, and all the nanny state things.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, speaking of smoking, like, what do you think of vaping? Like, people,
I don't use.
I don't think that that's good for people, and I
Well, I
really,
think that's their business.
well, yeah, I mean, everybody can do what
I
they
think
want
they
to
should be
their own
able to
body.
smoke cigarettes if they wanted to.
Not
I
in a
smoked
restaurant, though.
cigarettes for about 65 years.
So all
At
that.
least you could smoke anywhere. Nobody we're not a better country because you can't.
No,
We're
no.
a much worse country now. Not because of that, but
But our clothes smell
with all the
better.
we got a clown for president, you know.
I mean, you used to
in
go.
Italy, they have a political party that was founded by a clown, but here we got a clown for the president himself. It's
Well,
a bad situation.
Tell us about like this legalization of marijuana. I mean, do you feel fulfilled? Did it go just like you'd hoped?
Well, it's not over yet. They just
Yeah.
started. You see, they got this 80 years of propaganda, this lies. The whole marijuana controversy, the whole criminality of marijuana was something that they made up. It has no basis in scientific reality. There's nothing wrong with marijuana. In fact, it's a medicine. But they built this thing up because Mexicans and black people smoked it, and they thought they were trying to get white women by getting them high on marijuana. So that was why they passed all these laws. You can read the documents.
Well,
It's pretty ugly.
alcohol used to be
Anyway, they
illegal
got 80
too.
years of this constant barrage where marijuana smokers were made to appear like there was something really wrong with us, that we were dope fiends in the 50s. When I had my problems with the law, we were regarded as dope fiends. And my problem stemmed from the fact that I've opposed this, and I called for legalization. I said there wasn't anything wrong with it. And that really cheesed them off, and that's what I got in all the trouble with. But eventually I overturned the law. I said it was unconstitutional when it was. Michigan Supreme Court agreed with me. That was in 72.
Oh, wow.
That was a big deal, really big deal.
And then we passed a $5 fine in Ann Arbor for marijuana crimes, which was the most progressive law in the entire world at the time.
Did you start the hash bash?
Well, that was my idea.
Awesome.
It's still going strong.
Can you believe how big it is today?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first one like?
A lot of hash.
A bunch of hippies going on the
Like
diet
10
and
or
smoking
20?
joints. I'm not one for numbers.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, we thought that, the legislature had passed a new marijuana law. They took it out of the narcotics category, and they called it a controlled substance. But they still were going to give you 4 years for sale and 90 days or a year for possession, and we thought, this is still wrong. And it was supposed to take effect on April 1st, and we thought this must be April Fool. So that's when we started the hash bash, basically to raise a middle finger to the establishment and the law and say that we weren't going to pay any more attention to this law than we did the last one.
Yeah, I think they got bigger fish to fry with the fentanyl situation nowadays.
so then you decided to move to Amsterdam because you could
Well, I
smoke
lived in
them.
New Orleans for 12 years first.
Oh, yeah. Well, why'd you move away from New Orleans?
Well, they wanted me to come to Amsterdam. And I couldn't make a living in New Orleans. I couldn't pay my rent. So
Uh-huh. And what's it like
I was
living
very
in
popular and
Amsterdam?
very busy, but they didn't give me enough money.
So what did you do in Amsterdam?
Whatever I wanted.
Oh, I should go there.
Did you have a newspaper
go
there,
there.
right? Do you have a newspaper there, or no, you're not
My
working
own
there?
radio station.
Oh, your own radio station.
RadioFreeAmsterdam.org.
Excellent, excellent. So what kind of guests do you have on then, on the
As
show?
few as possible. We play records.
Oh, you play music.
Old-fashioned radio station.
Uh-huh. And that's still
Jazz,
running?
Blues.
Nice, nice. So we can find that on
right
the
now.
internet. We can.
24/7.
Awesome. And what's that called again?
RadioFreeAmsterdam.org.
Excellent. We'll check it out.
Please. I insist.
Well, you tell us about the underground newspaper, The Fifth Estate.
Wow.
Someone did their research.
I guess.
What do you remember about that?
I remember everything.
Yeah.
Underground newspapers were a very important part of our culture in the 60s. This was how we didn't have internet. We didn't have access to anything that cost money because we didn't have any money. And the underground papers were tabloid, offset tabloid, I forget the size, 15-inch, whatever the size was. But they were underground papers. Every city in the country eventually had one. And they reported on the anti-war movement, the female liberation movement, the gay liberation movement. Anti-war movement was the big focus, and the explosion in the arts and music. When you couldn't read about Big Brother and the holding company and the Detroit Free Press, you would read about them in the Fifth Estate. When Janis Joplin came here, she talked to the Fifth Estate. The daily papers weren't interested in any of that until they started having hit records.
I feel like underground newspapers today are kind of mainstream.
They don't have any.
Well, I mean, it's not underground anymore. It's. I feel like there's so many venues and options, and because of the internet.
Everything's online now.
Yeah, it's different. You see, this was a package. It was all contained in 16 or 24 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have to hunt for anything. It was all right in there. You got one for $0.25, and it was all there. Cartoons and art and advertisements for music events and stories about bands and all the stuff that I just mentioned.
It's changed
Anti-war movement.
so much now.
Thing. But they were completely scorned by the mainstream. And daily newspapers didn't cover any of these things because they were pro-war.
Mm-hmm.
They were establishment-owned and oriented. And they didn't like any of the things that we were doing outside of this. So
the times have changed.
All through the 60s, that was the case. The last 6 months of the 60s, 50 years ago, when you had Woodstock. Woodstock was especially significant because all of a sudden there were 500,000 hippies in one place. Before that, they tried to say that hippies didn't really exist, or that it was some kind of weird phenomenon that would come and go, But all of a sudden, there's 500,000 in a field of rain in the mud. And they said, wow. So that changed everything. That's when the music industry decided that they had found a new area of exploitation, and they took over the music. By 72, it was all over as far as the innovation and the social relevance. And basically, you either became a millionaire or you didn't get a record contract. So all the music stars were all millionaires. It's been like that since almost 50 years now. That's why it's so ugly. Because what's a millionaire going to tell you? I got a lot of money.
I know.
What else do they know? Sorry.
Did you go to
I hate
Woodstock?
rich people. No, I was in prison.
That's what we were thinking. We were trying to figure out the timeline.
I know, we were trying to figure out the timeline. I just watched that show on Netflix about Woodstock, and it was really interesting. They obviously weren't expecting that many people to show up, and there was no violence at it. It was all just happy, love.
Okay,
There was no violence in those. The hippies and violence were two whole different things.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I watch those
Plus, you
documentaries,
see, we ended any possibility of violence by banning the police from our gatherings. If you look at the Woodstock, you won't see no police.
Yeah, it was that, what were they called? Did you watch the
Hog
documentary?
Gravy,
The Wavy Gravy. And they were just kind of,
Well, we had
Helping
all
out.
the psychedelic rangers for the things we did around here.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we've told them that if you kept the police out of the crowd, there wouldn't be any problem, because the problem was that the police would attack these people for being hippies and smoking weed and what have you,
That's usually how it goes.
So we banned them.
well,
And like I say, if you notice about Woodstock, you won't see no you won't see no coppers with their guns and their walkie-talkies and their helmets and their clubs and a copper, We used to say, man, if you're a hippie, you're 15 years old, you're at a free concert on a Sunday afternoon, say you're on acid, something do, and you see some copper with a helmet and a gun and coming, oh no,
I know.
and you freak out.
That's what I was going to say. You'd freak out, and then
Freak out.
maybe
Scary.
get a little, wavy with your arms, and then it hits somebody, and next thing you know, there's a riot starting.
There wasn't any hitting in those days. See?
Okay, but they were naked.
Sometimes I never go anywhere. But I went to this. They gave me an award at the Detroit Music Awards, so I went to that. I was terrified because it's like going to a concentration camp now. I went to one the other night. We went to see the MC50 at St. Andrews Hall. I started putting on music at St. Andrews Hall in 1982. I started. You never had any trouble. Now you go there and they want to search you, and it's just.
No.
I almost turned around and laughed. I said, I'm 77 years old. I don't have to put up with this.
I know.
You shouldn't
it's just
have
the
to.
way of the world anymore, but.
So I was going to say, every time I see
they
hippies...
like it. People today, they're such authoritarian figures. They love this stuff. They love Trump. They love all this crazy stuff. I don't get it.
Not everybody loves Trump.
Well, they elected him. They put up with him.
Well,
what do you mean they don't like him? They love him. They watch his TV show every night for 10 years, every week,
I want to know if
He's the boss.
Back in the day when you were a high-on hippie, were you naked on stage dancing?
I have been naked on stage.
Because the hippie documentaries always show naked hippies dancing, and I just, no one ever...
so high you wanted to take your clothes off.
Okay. Is that why you're...
Sure.
You just...
And it gets hot,
Having a good time.
It gets hot and it's tight.
Plus, sexual congress was highly valued among hippies.
Yeah.
Dancing, getting high, sexual congress. These were the foundations of hippiedom, and not having a job. Very important.
Did you go to concerts like the Atlanta Pop Festival or Monterey? Did you ever go to any of those?
No, I don't like the
big crowds.
festivals.
I guess you had enough going on at Grandy. Looking at my brother's handbills,
Well,
man,
we put
everybody
on free
played there.
concerts in the parks in Ann Arbor and around here.
Mm-hmm.
That was our idea of a good time.
Yeah. How about at the Belle Isle Band Shell? Did they ever have
Yes,
concerts there?
yes.
I put on a concert there once.
Me too.
It was really fun. I think they don't utilize that enough. That's my happy place in Detroit is Belle Isle.
It's a fun place.
I know. It's still, you
Even
can.
though the state police control it now.
Well, they cleaned up the bathrooms anyway a little bit, so which is nice because
You don't
it
need
used to be.
police for that. You just need a broom.
I know, but people weren't willing to do that. You're right, though. You're right.
They love police today. I don't get it.
Well, sometimes they're helpful.
When was this?
If someone was breaking into your home, well,
They
you'd probably,
aren't there.
you'd
They
probably,
come later.
yeah.
They aren't there when
Okay.
somebody's breaking into your home. Believe me.
Okay.
They aren't there.
For directing traffic, like in a car accident.
Yeah, good.
Have you ever
What do you
befriended
need a
any...
gun for to direct traffic?
Yeah, just to point. I don't know.
I'm an anti-gun
kidding.
person.
Yeah, I don't like guns either.
I think, now that marijuana is legal, they should take all the marijuana police and turn them toward seeking out all the guns and confiscating them and destroying them.
Yes.
And I think they should make it illegal to make any more guns. What do you need a gun for in 2019? I don't get it.
Especially those ones that shoot a zillion bullets a minute.
Or a gun that shoots one bullet. What do you...
I know.
Well, sorry, guys. It's time for our show to end. So thanks for watching another episode of the Chatty Patty
Walla Walla.
This was
Talk
good.
Talk Show.
Hello, hello, hello. It's the Chatty Patty Walla Walla Talk Show. Hello, hello, hello. It's the Chatty Patty Walla Walla Talk Show.
We will talk about the things that mean so much to you, like going to a restaurant or hanging at the zoo, clothes and sports and funny news, crafts and travel too. Nothing ever scripted, so expect the unexpected.
Hello, hello, hello. It's the Chatty Patty Walla Walla Talk Show. It's the Chatty Patty Walla